change the way I give you the stories. If I try to know that what happened to me was in fact reality, I'm not going to be able to tell you anything. So I'm going to keep telling you my experiences as my experiences. However, I do not guarantee you that they are, well, all the experiences that I'm telling you are the truth to me because that is what I lived. The voices that I heard, all of that was true. I haven't lied to you in any single way, shape, or form. However, because I am trying to tell you the stories in a way they make sense to people that are, I guess, grounded in reality, it concerns me that, that you might think, oh, this guy is crazy. But, I have shared enough stories with you that you possibly already think that. And, and that's okay. So, my experiences, that's exactly what they are. They're my experiences. And I'm going to tell them to you how I experienced them. And I'm not going to try to reformat them or turn them over in a way that it is most plausible. I'm going to tell you the stories how I lived them. Because I feel that is the way that I'm going to be able to stay more true to my experience. So it is not that I am inconsiderate of what you might think. In fact, I do care a lot of what you think. That is why I am clearing this up. Because if I keep tying my own sanity to the stories, I am going to keep doubting things that I actually lived. And I am not going to be able to tell you the story. I'm not going to be able to stay 100% true to the story that I want to tell you. So, the stories that I'm telling you are going to be 100% certain to my experience, to how I live them. And regardless of you believing that they were real or not, you don't have to believe anything that I say. But I'm telling you the stories how I lived them. And the first story that I want to tell you exactly how I lived it was when the voices told me what was happening, what was actual gang stalking about. I was at work. And I was already tired, There was a lot of loud bangings, a lot of gang stalking grins. And all of a sudden, I just felt like my body was taken over by this force. And the voices, they came back 100%. Now, during this time, I was fine. However, they were telling me to do something because they didn't want the gang stalkers to know how I was doing. Why? I don't know. But during this time, I was fine. I don't know why I let the voices convince me. But the voices told me, act ashamed. And here I go, So I literally just put my head down. And then the voice said they told me, whenever you turn your head to the left, it means that a gang stalker said something that makes you ashamed. That it was the way that gang stalkers know that they've struck a chord with being ashamed. And the other way was pride. So if someone says something and I turn my head that way, apparently I was supposed to feel pride or something along those lines. Actually, now whenever I would, was it pride or that I'm faking it? Like you're faking it. So then also whenever I would turn this way, there would be like a slight smile on this side of my face. And that would tell that I was faking it. Also, the voices kept telling me like what entailed the result of the gang stalking training, which was really weird. So, if I put my elbows on the counter, it meant that I was comfortable. If I had my 2 feet together, but I was saying the truth about how I was feeling. But if I had 1 foot back, like the counter was here, right? If I had my elbows on the counter, meant that I was confident. If I turned my head one way to the left, it meant that I felt shame. To the other way, it also meant that I felt shame, but at that time, the voices told me something different. My 2 feet together meant confident. It meant that I was being truthful to what my body was displaying. However, when I put my elbows on the counter and I put 1 foot back, it meant that I was faking it, that I was faking the emotion that I was feeling. This is fucking crazy, I know. So then also, if I was standing up and I turn and I bend my body one way, like if I'm like this, and I turn my body one way or the other, it meant that I was faking it. If I felt pride, I would sit up straight. And what else? Sit up straight. If I would feel anger, then it would be well. I do not remember all of these, but apparently, according to the shadow that I was talking to, that was the actual that was the actual training. That was actually how the gang stalking game was played. That whenever a gang stalker said something that made me feel shame, I turned the head one way. So then that would mean that they struck a chord. So then that's how they would know that they said a word that made me feel shame. And apparently that's the entire game. Is that the entire game of gang stalking? Apparently, it is that you're trained for a total of 2 years, and that for those 2 years, the game also trains you to keep using drugs and to have a lot of sex. Apparently, so if you are a target, let me know. If you're targeted like 100%, did you go through these phases? Because I find these so unbelievable. However, at that time that I was actually living these stories, that I was living this actual situation, it felt like the most real thing I had ever experienced. So apparently, the fun is in watching someone who has their life put together become a total and utter mess. So, that's apparently what happened. So then, the voices also told me. Also told me that was the training. Shame, you turn your head one way. That's how gang stalkers know that they've struck a chord. Even when you're looking at something, and if you turn your head one way, then that means that you saw something and that item brought you an emotion of shame. That's how they know exactly what you're thinking. what emotions you're feeling. That the training is having you tie your psychological emotions to actual physiological movements. And that apparently that is why gang stalkers know exactly what you're thinking. That's why it feels like they know exactly what the targets are thinking. It's not because they know what you're thinking. It is because you're telling them via your body. That's that's what the voices told me. So apparently if you're a target, everything that you do, like every shame, anger, any of that, you are actually displaying those emotions with your body and you don't even know. Like I said, this is just the experience that I had. I'm not telling you that this is 100% true because I don't know. This is just what I lived. So apparently also, let's see, that what else? Oh, so and during this time, for some reason, I was feeling like super prideful because because I was experiencing these things, because I was finding out the secrets of gang stalking or whatever. So then I just began listening to what the voices were telling me, and it said, oh no, like um, you're supposed to like start feeling like sad or whatever. So then I began asking the voices, how am I supposed to show the proper physiological representations, of the training. And then that's what the voices said. This is what the voices said. When you put yourself down like this, like all the way down, that means that you're really ashamed. Like that people are like mopping the floor with your pride. So then as I began getting up, the voices began saying, oh no, that means that you're like coming back to normal. And it said, if you have your hand like that and you put your arm across, that means that you're feeling better, that you're coming up from feeling really bad. If you put your nails on the counter, it means that you know something. And then so I was doing that and I was doing the thing, and I was just, well, the voices then were trying to help me apparently. And they were like, just do as I tell you. And I was like, all right. So I just kept dust mopping. And then the voice was like, do this and do that, do that. And I kept doing that. I did exactly what the voices were telling me. But then all of a sudden, because I kept doing this, I did some notes, I was like, okay, this means that, this means that, this means that. So then, by the end, I literally began to feel like I wasn't in control of my body anymore. I felt like I was supposed to like experience those things because that was the actual part of the training. Like then when that happened, I felt like my body was like trapped. Like I felt like there was like a almost like an invisible, not armor, but like an invisible kind of force that was controlling every aspect of me. And by that I mean like when people went like that, my eyes would literally just go right into the hand movement. Like I would notice exactly what I was supposed to notice. Like it was a way that gang stalkers were supposed to be able to control me. And that wasn't the first time that I had felt that. Like when I was feeling that, I remember that was like that I felt that was the actual training. And the first time I didn't even notice it, but I literally felt like my entire body was trapped. Then my eyes, like that, the shadow, the training, was this like prison where I wasn't in control of my body anymore, where my body was actually controlled by the movements of people. It was something really, really strange. And the thing is that this felt so real that it was real for me at that point. Like, it was, I remember that day, I was supposed to, well, I'm gonna finish the story right here. But well, if you've enjoyed this story that might be completely nonsensical to you right now, just know that this is actually what I went through when I was having this gang stalking experience. Please understand that um, during this time I was psychologically exhausted, and I had done, um, and I was just really tired when I had this experience. Um, the truth is that when this happened, I was not sober. Um, but you know, I'm gonna tell you the truth about everything that I experienced, which is why I hope that you are enjoying this experience, these stories, and you are able to subscribe and to push the like button. I would really appreciate it, since that is going to be pretty much a well, that's the only thing that I ask you, is that I ask of you. And then again, you can do whatever you want, but I please ask of you that you like and subscribe. So yeah, this is the first time that I'm actually trying to vocalize this experience, and it might not be it might possibly not be cohesive in the way that I'm explaining it to you now. However, that is the best way I can explain it to you right now at this point. I have not felt enough freedom before to tell you this story, or stories such as this one, 100% true to how I felt it. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt ashamed to actually tell you, oh, I heard voices. The voice told me this. And even though I already told you one story back then, for some reason it feels really different now, because this was very recent. This was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And now, I thought that I was done, hearing those things or voices, but the truth is that it is just yesterday that I began to recognize all my own thoughts. In reality, it was that all those thoughts that I was having, all the voices, they were my thoughts. However, my own thoughts, I wasn't able to perceive them in the way that I was supposed to perceive them. I was perceiving my negative self-talk as if someone was talking to me that negative talk. Like, for example, oh, So, well, going back to the story, this so like the whole thing with grabbing your finger and just like running it under your eye, like if you're wiping a tear, that is supposed to bring up like the thought to me that is supposed to be like a gang stalking sign that is supposed to tell me that it's I'm supposed to have that is supposed to have to produce the thought, oh, I feel like crying. So like gang stalkers are supposed to control the thoughts of the target by via movements. So like this one, um, this one, the shame one. So on the next video, I'm going to tell you the story that is going to be grotesque, and it's going to be disgusting, and it's going to be full of shameful experiences. But I have to tell you the story how it is. All right. So I will wait for you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.